right, we actually are live right now. I didn't think it was going to be this easy to set up and start rolling. We have some.
You want to go up a little higher so you eliminate my. Oh, we're live.
Sure.
Oh my God.
Eliminate that sound in the background.
Yeah.
So I'll get away from the heater.
It's gonna turn off any moment. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so someone's already checked in with us. Thank you so much for visiting. It's our first and premier live interview at Aquagrill. We're calling this show on the corner of Spring Street, and it's going to be always hosted with chef and owner of Aquagrill, Jeremy Marshall. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm better now that
I'm so excited. This is our first live webcast.
No one else is doing it. You're like so cutting edge.
Well, I've tried to be in the past.
I think you're totally succeeding. So I have a video out that basically tells a little bit about Aquagrill and its inception, but I don't know if everyone has heard this before. So can I ask you how Aquagrill came to be?
Well,
I know it has a little bit to do with Pablo Picasso.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're going to go to that. Yeah, for sure. So, back, I think it was 1990, in this very space, I was the executive chef of a place called Cafe. And it was owned by Richard Picasso, who was Pablo Picasso's grandson. And it turned out, we did our thing. It was very successful. It was a big opening, and he knew a lot of people. Very international crowd, and it was great in Soho, in like the heyday of Soho. And we both, after a year or so, sort of went on our separate ways. And turned out just a few years later, he was looking to get out of the restaurant business, and I was looking to get my own place, and we made a deal. So we switched places, and now that's 22 and a half years ago, maybe.
22 and a half. That's insane in terms of New York businesses in general, but New York restaurants in specific, that's like 103.
It's like dog years, right?
So, with Pablo and Picasso's grandson in mind, are there any other celebrities that come to mind that you remember?
Wow, we have a hit list of celebrities that you can't imagine. I mean, I wish I had the list in front of me right now. It's a huge list. I mean, just to name a few, I mean, Denzel Washington, all the news guys, Peter Jennings before he passed away, Tom Brokaw, Jay-Z,
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio was here.
Can I move the camera over really quick and show everyone where Leonardo sat?
Yes.
Let's see. I don't know if I can do this.
You might have to go might have to go handheld on that one.
Rogue. Okay, so
there it
everybody,
is.
This table right over here, where Alex is standing, is where Leonardo sat. I guess it was like was it 2 months ago?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 months ago. But yeah, we've had pretty much everybody you can possibly imagine over 10 years, and it's pretty exciting, when you think about it. I sort of regret in a way that I didn't have a picture with all these people and have the Wall of Fame like they do in some of those diners.
In every restaurant now,
right, a lot.
They die for that.
A lot of that. Exposure. I mean, it's not quite my personality, but
I know, but you're so cool.
I sort of wish I did it.
You wish it, but I think that's why more celebrities come in, because you're so low key, and the food is really the focus.
Yes.
And I feel like, I hear that all the time from all the customers. I was gonna, speaking of food, hey Chickies, this is Chickies. Can you open up an East Coast, a West Coast, and a Kumamoto for chef and owner Jeremy Marshall? Because we're gonna
talk about some oysters.
We're gonna real quick get a flavor profile difference? Because I feel like a lot of people don't know the difference between East and West.
Right.
And maybe holding some people back about coming in and feeling comfortable.
Well, oysters are the last thing you should feel uncomfortable about. I mean, our staff is great. We have people who, when they first start working here, we give them a whole tray of oysters, an oyster sampler, which is about 25, 26 different kinds. And they can't put any sauce on them. They can put a little bit of lemon. But basically, they have to try each oyster, and here's our daily list today. It's 25. It changes every single day. Sometimes it changes twice a day. So the idea is that they try them and they get the flavor profile, so they can really help you hone down what you might be looking for. But we sort of break them down into general categories so people can feel like and the great idea is, with the cell phones nowadays and the notes, you can keep, I had these, they were great, my favorites, and it's kind of interesting to
take pictures and rate them.
Right.
Yeah. So what are the questions that often come up for oysters? Like, what are the adjectives?
Well, people would say, what's your favorite flavors in an oyster? And I think, for the most part, my personal favorites would be, I like briny oysters, and I like them where the liquor, that's what they call the liquid in the oyster, actually the seawater, the liquid itself is, briny, salty, tastes like the sea, but the meat actually has a sweet finish to it. So people say, do you chew oysters, do you swallow oysters? I think any food, if you don't chew it a little bit, you don't really extract the flavor of the actual food. So in this case, I say chew them lightly. And, I love briny oysters, that have a sweet finish. But, there's some of the West Coast oysters which are very nuanced and don't have quite the briny quality to them as the East Coast do. And they, tend to have a cucumber flavor finish, a watermelon flavored finish, and it's really something when you don't put sauce on it, you can really pick up these flavors, these subtle flavors, and it's quite interesting. And I enjoy that aspect as well.
So it's almost like a wine, the way that you're describing oysters, almost like wine. We actually, just so you know, this wasn't in camera when it happened, but we handed Chef Jeremy some oysters to. He's actually going to help us understand a little bit more about East versus West, and then why Kumamotos are so wildly popular. I don't think one table comes in here without ordering Kumamotos.
Right, they
why
are.
Is that?
I don't know.
Really?
Well, I do know.
Okay.
I think the size of them are they're quite petite, and they usually have a fairly deep cup. So they're like a little perfect pearl or nugget of the sea, and I think that people enjoy it because it's not overwhelming.
Okay, that makes sense.
And they're really good. I mean, they're sort of the best of both worlds. We have some right now from Washington State, which, I tend to like more. There's some from California. There's some from Mexico, actually from Baja, which we haven't gotten in a while. But the difference between the California Kumamotos and the Washington Kumamotos are that the California ones are just sweet, and there's no brininess, there's no aspect, salinity to the liquor itself, where the Washington State ones tend to have that briny liquor and that sweet finish that I really love. And so I personally love those because it's just another nuance that give you that subtlety that, your mouth has, sweet, salty, bitter, sour. And those senses, is what makes food so enjoyable, especially when you can get almost all of those taste profiles from your tongue in one type of food, one bite of food. And when you have that, that's what, to me, makes food great, is when you have that complexity all in one little morsel, one bite.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's
Right.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So I hear often that you can tell by the shells which one is an East Coast and which one is a West Coast.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
You never know. You might get tricked once in a while. But yes, so we can see right here. Well, use our fork. Okay, so this we know is the East Coast. This is a typical Blue Point oyster, which has become more of a generic name. Blue Point is a Virginicus variety of oysters, and all the East Coast oysters are the same variety, and they're just grown in different areas. Originally it was Blue Point, Long Island, and that's where most of them came from. And so that, 100 plus years ago was the sort of default name. But now a Wellfleet, which is basically the same type of oyster as a Blue Point, is grown in Wellfleet, Massachusetts, and so on and so forth. It's very rare. Only there's one or two cases that I know of where a Virginicus oyster is grown on the West Coast, and so we would call them when we got them, and we haven't had them in a while, but we would call them Pacific Blue Points, just because it sounded better than the actual name that somebody was calling them. And I thought, you have to take a little poetic license. We were telling the truth, but it was really, they were Pacific Blue Points. And they were really interesting, delicious oysters. But people are not having as success growing West Coast oysters on the East Coast as they do East Coast on the West Coast. I don't know exactly why, but I'll have to ask a few of my grower friends.
And we'll find out for the next episode.
We'll find out for the next
which is
episode.
happening in 2 weeks, yeah?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so what Chef Jeremy is I'm gonna grab the microphone real quick so you can eat. So what Chef Jeremy is gonna do, he's gonna show us how to eat an oyster. But before that, first I want to say thank you so much to Cindy, Augustine, and Stephen for checking in. But what we're asking everybody to do, Chef Jeremy doesn't have any idea what I'm gonna ask you to do. We're asking you to share this live broadcast right now with your friends, with your network, and then once we get a couple of shares, he's going to show you how to eat an oyster, but then later on there's going to be an amazing gift that Chef Jeremy has set up just for you. All right, so go ahead and start sharing. Just click the link that says the broadcast and then share it, and then after that, Chef Jeremy will show us how to eat an oyster. In the meantime, so if you're just joining us, Chef Jeremy opened this restaurant almost 22 years ago, right? And I just wanted to say, here at Aquagrill, you do celebrate New Year's Eve, don't you?
Yeah, it's a great day. We've obviously celebrated. We celebrated New Year's every year except for 2000, when my wife thought all the computers are going to crash, and we said, "Oh no, I'm still regretting that." But anyhow, aside from that, we celebrate every year. It's a great party. We open bottles of champagne, and at midnight, I take a sword, a saber, and I slice the top of 10 or 12 bottles of champagne, and I make these big sort of waterfalls going right to the ceiling, these geysers, I should say. And it's really exciting. And you can see it on YouTube if you look on YouTube, Aquagrill. And it's a fun party. It's not like other restaurants. We're having fun here. The staff is having fun, but we're here for great food, 4 courses, and it's really it's a seafood lover's dream, and it's also a lot of fun. So hopefully, we'll some of these people who are sharing with us today are going to check in and see what that's all about. But look for it on YouTube and make some reservations, because it's not going to be open very much longer.
So if somebody wanted to make a reservation right now by phone, what would they do?
212-274-0505.
Oh, that's how easy.
That's how easy.
274-0505?
Correct.
Amazing. I should have that on speed dial. I love this.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm going to talk to you about some oysters. Are we ready? Do we
Yeah,
have?
so let's do that. Now, if you're just joining us, Chef Jeremy is going to show us how to eat an oyster. So there's no reason not to come in and feel comfortable.
I'm going to just eat these plain, au natural. I'm going to start off with the East Coast oyster. This is the Blue Point. And a lot of times I will sort of loosen the oyster up. We definitely cut the oysters on the bottom. You can see that that's a perfectly shucked oyster. It's got a little slide to it. I'm going to get ready and I'm just going to pour this into my mouth with the liquor, with all of the juice, everything, and enjoy every second of it. So here we go.
And that's how you eat an oyster, ladies and gentlemen. Not very different. Oh, look, everyone's hitting happy
delicious.
faces and love now. Thank you so much, you guys.
Right. So now that was the East Coast one. You can see the shell is fairly flat in terms of there's not a lot of ruffles in it. Where this shell, I'll flip this over so when we get to the last one, you can see the difference. But this is a fairly typical West Coast oyster. This is a Dungeness oyster from Washington State. And again, like I loosen it up, I make sure it's sliding nicely. You can see all that liquor there. If you're eating oysters and there's not a lot of juice in there, it sort of tells you that the oyster is not super fresh.
Oh, really?
And you know, oysters can still be good and not super fresh, but it'll tell you that the place you're eating the oyster in is not moving them at fast enough pace. And what happens is the oyster dehydrates over time. And that's the difference between Aquagrill
And everyone else.
and everybody else.
How many oysters would you say you go through in a week, say?
Well, on a good week, when we're busy, we go through at least 10,000 oysters. So you can imagine how many hundreds of oysters. It's like 1,500 to 2,000 oysters on a typical day, which you know is can go over that between lunch and dinner or brunch and dinner. It's really a lot.
I don't even think the oyster bar does that many.
Yeah, no, well, I think they might.
Really?
Yeah, but you know.
But they're not right across from the sea train.
I guess not, but these are really good. So here, we're going to try the Dungeness from Washington State. Again, we slide it, loosen it up. Oh, that's good.
Amazing, right?
It has like a sweeter, fresher, like you have it has a little vegetal taste to it. It has like almost a seaweed, cucumbery taste, and it's really sort of has a refreshing like brightness to it.
Wow.
And it's delicious. I mean, you know, you can't really. It's such a beautiful thing from the sea. Imagine just going into the water and picking out your lunch.
That's amazing. And even vegetarians can eat this.
Well, I should
Vegan,
hope so.
right? Because it doesn't. Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't know all the rules, but they should be able to eat it. It's really perfect. Why not eat something that's so perfect? And here's the famous Kumamoto. So you can see the ruffle in this shell, sort of scallop-like qualities. 1, 2, 3, 4, four little ruffles there. Where in the East Coast one, it's not nearly as pronounced. And you can see the green color of this one more so. These are just the waters that they grow in. But oysters are really gorgeous right now. A friend of mine from Long Island just said he's harvesting the last ones of the season because the water's so cold. His wetsuit has a few too many holes in it, and it's a little.
So you know these people personally?
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting.
So here's our Kumamoto, and we're gonna give that a little shot the same way.
Unbelievable. I'm getting so jealous. I know what I'm doing after this podcast is over.
Yeah, that was delicious. And that, like I said originally, that has that briny liquor to it and that sweet finish. So I think that's why that's Kumamaro. It's the best of both worlds. You know, it's sort of an East Coast, West Coast wrap up all in one. So
I wonder how it got out there that so many people know about it, because it really is like almost this underground
it took
kind
off
of thing.
when we opened. We started selling them, and I guess, you know, one after another, people just said, "Oh, wow, I love those, I love those, I love." And literally, it's our most popular oyster we sell, and you know, I think it's amazing. So here we are. So here you can see this one is even more pronounced. It's even a little darker green and has the ruffles in it, you know, a scallop-looking shell, which is quite beautiful. And there we go.
That's gorgeous. You should use that in some of the lamps that you got. Oh wait, you have already. All right, so I'm getting a request for to see the oyster bar too. So we're gonna just.
Might have to go rogue on that one.
Yeah, we're going a little rogue here. So we've got Ashley over there. Chicky's writing down his inventory.
But here's our stack of oysters right here. We set them up. They're all iced down. Basically, when we first opened, I said I had looked at so many oyster bars, and so many of them have one little oyster sticking in a pile of ice, and they're like these sort of not so appealing displays. And I said, you know, went to an oyster bar, and I think it was Boston when my wife and I were there before we opened, and they had this mound of oysters. It was like a mountain of oysters. It was only like one variety, but they were just popping them open and going and going. And I was like, this place looks great.
And it's
And it was because of the mound of oysters. It told me that this place sold a lot of oysters. It told me when you walk in the door here, it tells you what we're all about. Our sign tells you it's an oyster bar. Our display tells you we're an oyster bar. We are all about oysters. We have other great things, but oysters are such a beautiful thing from nature. So we gotta go. We gotta enjoy it.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I don't know how many different adjectives I can use for oysters. I'm so in love. So, real quick, we're already talking a little bit about New Year's Eve. So since so many people know people who are in New York right now for the holidays,
Yes.
you have a special offer that you told me about earlier. And so I want to share with everybody. I'm going to take the microphone back and real quick just tell you what Chef Jeremy said to me is that if you know somebody here in the city right now, you can feel free to let them know that if they call and make reservations at Aquagrill in the next couple of days leading up until New Year's Eve, maybe even after New Year's Eve, but while they're here in the city, that if they use your name, so say Cindy, if you tell all of your friends on your network to call 212-274-0505, that if you say, hey, Cindy told me to make a reservation, then we're going to make sure that note is in the reservation for your family or friends, and we're going to send over a special gift right from you. So Chef Jeremy is helping your friends experience oysters like no matter where you are, you can make sure that your friends are experiencing the best of the best, but they're also experiencing a little treat, an extra gift right from you. All right, so if you feel like sending that out to your friends, just say, hey, if you make reservations at Aquagrill right now, mention my name and they'll send you something over extra special from me. Right? He's so brilliant, right? Everyone's saying such nice things. That
So
this
nice.
is like your favorite place. Are there any other things that you want to just mention real quick? Because I didn't really set this up so that we would let anyone ask questions
Right.
for this.
Well,
broadcast.
sure. I'd love to talk about. We've been one of the greatest brunch places in New York for many, many years, and we do a fabulous brunch. It's a little of everything for everybody. I mean, we have our standards, pancakes and French toast, and then we have all the Benedict's, crab, the regular ham Benedict, crab Benedict, which is phenomenal, smoked salmon. But we have, as well, you can have all of our great oysters and whatever fish you want. We have all of that available at brunch, which is kind of unusual to get. You can have your sweet brunch or your savory brunch or a little of both, and people come in and they have great, Bloody Mary with some oysters. Great thing for a hangover.
You're making me so hungry. I'm not even hungover. I want all of that.
But brunch is a real great thing here, and we've been doing it really well for many years. As well, the one interesting thing, with the cold weather here and coming up, we just started delivery for our great food, which is something.
This restaurant at this level food delivers?
Yes, we just started it, and people. It's been a trend in the last few years. A lot of companies are doing delivery, and we were doing so much business without being active participants that we decided, why not be active participants and do that, because our food is getting out there anyway, so we might as well be part of that. And now that we are part of it, it's going nicely. And the cold weather, people, on a Sunday, Monday night, Tuesday night, people are, they're not wanting to go out, but they still want to have good, healthy food. And the great thing about our food is you can have any of the fish we have with some vegetables, and you can have it plain if you want, and it's very healthy, very clean. It's great for people, anytime, many days a week. So I'm really proud of the idea that we're doing delivery, both lunch and dinner, and I think that it's going to be a big success, especially in the next couple of months, with people, being maybe snowbound or all right, so,
or lazy.
No, I don't want to say that.
That would be me.
But it's exciting.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm also excited for our next
webcast
or whatever we're calling it.
What are we calling it?
We're calling it On the Corner of Spring, because we literally are. If I can turn this, I will. I'll turn this around. After Chef Jeremy is excused from the webcast, I'll let you see where exactly we are on Spring Street, because we are so centrally located right now. And I chose the name On the Corner of Spring because we're going to be interviewing other people who are also affiliated with Spring and Soho in the next couple of weeks. So our next webcast is going to be in two weeks, and it's theoretically going to be on a Monday, but I have gotten a couple of requests saying that they want it Wednesday and Thursday, that Monday doesn't work for them. So we accommodate our customers in every single way. So thank you so much, Chef Jeremy.
My pleasure.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
I'm excited. 2 weeks. We should have some fresh news.
Fresh news, 100%. Yeah, exciting stuff, and new clients, and lots of gifts given.
We have Christmas Eve coming up, which is already pretty packed here. People love Christmas Eve, so everybody happy holidays, and I hope you enjoy. Have a safe holiday, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, or your friends even sooner. Tonight. Oh, look, someone's calling already. 212-274-0505. All right. Thanks, Chef Jeremy.
Thank you.
I'm gonna actually turn this around real quick so that you can see how close you are to the sea train, where you just jump right off, even if it's freezing out on New Year's Eve, where everyone else is trapped in cabs and limousines. You are right across the street from Aquagrill. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and goodbye for now. Oh, I'll leave you on a picture of the oyster bar. There you go. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. And again, feel free to share this with everyone you know. it's a way that we actually, or that Chef Jeremy is able to keep the cost of food really, really low and the quality really, really high, because we've been this popular for almost 22 years. Okay, so 212-274-0505. Thank you again.